So this is a quick demo of the new real-time tracking or RTT capability that's going to be in the new version of SARX coming out in early 2019. To get started, you'd need to configure the RTT in SARX, and that's just this configuration setting. You can add radios and add teams. This adding the radios and the teams should be done prior to starting any operations, so you shouldn't have to do this when you actually go out onto a search. It would just these lists of names would already be ready to go, and it's as quick as just adding a radio. Is just adding the same name that is used within the NeoNytro database. Right now, the only RTT capability that SARX makes use of is the NeoNytro / Motorola MOTOTRBO combination. You can add team names the same way. Just put in the name and ready to go. What you'll want to do is when you actually start your operational period is when you've handed out the radios, you need to assign each team name to a radio. So you can just simply check off radio and a team name and add the pair. So we've got radio 1 going to Bravo, radio 2 will go to Alpha, and radio 3 is going to Charlie. We'll add that pair. The last thing is you need to set the time. This is the time, the start time for the operational period or these tasks. All of the radios will use this same start time. This is how it's set up at the moment, but this is something that could potentially be changed if teams require it. Right now I was unsure, and so this is how I've gone with it. And so it's easy enough to just set the time as now, and even just put it back a couple hours, doesn't matter. Essentially, you just want to capture whatever information or whatever tracking you want in terms of time, a time interval from this time up to the current present time. Once you've got all that set up, just hit save and exit. To use RTT is just simply a matter of showing on the map whether you want the locations or the tracks or the both. These are temporary displays. What this means is that the RTT data is not saved with the map when you close SARX. This is by design. The RTT data is just simply only available while you need it right then. I'll get to how you can save it in a moment, but generally speaking, it's just simply showing on the map and it's not being saved. So you can hit the locations, and that just shows, puts a flag for where each of the teams is located. And right now they're just kind of all around the command post. You can also show the tracks in the same way, which is always going to be shown with just a yellow track on the screen. You can show just the tracks, you can show just the locations. I'm going to put both on, and I'm just using a second program here to mimic the real-time RTT data by using some GPX files and just incrementing the values into the NeoNytro database that's being used. So I'll increment this track of, well, a few steps, and notice that the RTT does not automatically refresh. It won't do this in real time as like you are tracking vehicles. That's by design. Let's be honest, people are walking in the woods. You don't need to be updating their position every 30 seconds. Every few minutes would be enough. And so it's as simple as just going to the RTT and hitting refresh. And you see them move, you see it update. Again, I'll increment it a little bit more. And just hit refresh. And again, this is by design. There's no need to be constantly watching these teams move, at their actual pace when you can just quickly refresh it every couple of minutes by hitting that one button. This limits the possibility that things are going to be overlapping or coming into conflict with saving other planning data within SARX. However, eventually you probably want to save this data as well. Just incrementing a little bit more and refresh. So eventually you will want to save this, and it is possible to do so, but it's basically, think of it as saving a time shot. which might be the best way to look at it. You want to just have a record of where all your teams were each hour during the operational period. Within the RTT, you can simply go save location. Notice that all of the locations have changed to a red flag, and there's now a new folder that's called RTT positions, and it gives the date and the time so that those positions were saved. So this is basically a snapshot of RTT locations at that time, the ones that you were monitoring. Notice that each of the positions are in there, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and it just puts the time there as well. Also notice that if I turn these off, the actual RTT display, the locations, has been turned off as well. Again, this is by design because otherwise they'd be overlapping, and all you would see is still the RTT locations, not the saved ones. So this way it becomes very obvious that you've saved those locations at this time. You do the same thing for the tracks. You can save the tracks. It changes them to blue color. Another folder is created, RTT tracks, again with the date and time, and again with each separate track. And no time for those because the track is over a length of time. And at this stage, I haven't bothered to put what that time interval is for those tracks. That is possible to see using one of the other tools of SARX, the edit tracks. And so that's a possibility that could get added in here. It's just not there at the moment. Again, it turns off the real-time tracking version, and the reason why is because the real-time always displays over top any other information on the map. So if I did not turn that off, it wouldn't be immediately obvious that the tracks or the positions had been saved. This way, it's very obvious that those have been saved for those time, and it doesn't take much to just turn those back on. That's about it for RTT. Thank you very much.